We continue to preview the 2025 college football season. Our stop today is Hillsboro, Kansas, as we get to visit with Michael Gardner, who is heading into his 18th season as the head football coach for the Tabor Bluejays. Coach, thank you so much for taking time with us today. And I would start at 2024. Wins-wise, it definitely was an improvement over 2023, 6-5 overall, kind of back to the Tabor way there as you make it back with another winning season. 4-1 in Bissell Division play too. So tell us a little bit about 2024.
Well, we had a bunch of kids that we had a lot of depth. We had guys with a lot of experience, and we won 2 games where we were down by 1 possession at halftime. 1 game we were down by 2 possessions, and another game we won in overtime. And I think it speaks to the character of our guys that we had in the locker room. They're a little bit older group. We changed some things in the second half of the season in terms of the run game. And it was really enjoyable to watch our guys compete and do what we do. And, people talk about culture all the time and everything. My expectation is, I guess, expectation is a word I like to use better than culture. But my expectation is that we're going to be as prepared as we can be each and every week to put forth the best effort. And we actually work on things that could potentially go bad. So when that stuff does happen, it's not a complete meltdown and things like that, because it's like, hey, we've worked on this. We worked in this situation. So, and that happened. Our coaches did a great job of making adjustments at halftime. And, we just need to be able to continue that moving forward and see if we can't keep that same kind of mindset and mentality going into the season.
I know that 2025 is going to be a little bit different for a lot of reasons, and we'll talk about your personnel changes for the upcoming season. One player that's been a part of the program for a number of years will not be back. He's expended his eligibility, though. An All-American for you last year in Brooks Gardner. I know you know him very well. And he is now the all-time leader in tackles for Tabor, but also was an All-American as a long snapper. And you had mentioned before here on the channel, he just kind of stepped into that role out of necessity one time, and I guess he really made it his own.
Absolutely. His mother did an unbelievable job of raising him. I'll tell you that, and the thing about Brooks that I'm going to miss the most, besides the fact that he's my son, is he was just a great teammate, and the first time he started snapping really was in junior high, and that was out of necessity too. And then we just kind of forgot about it. And then we had an injury, it happened. And next thing you know, I'm asking him, say, hey, can you do this? And he's like, are you serious? And I'm like, yeah, I'm dead serious. And so what we did was we just totally changed for him, because he's not a pro style snap. We just totally changed how we protected things. And, we were able to free him up a little bit, and he was drawing double teams down the field and still making plays. So I'm just really proud of him, and he's going to be missed in the locker room, that's for sure.
Well, I want to talk about his defensive presence, or what we might miss later on. But on the offensive side, let's start there really quickly. It's going to look different. It's going to look entirely different for you in 2025. Let's start there.
It is. First thing I want to just say is our offensive line. We're going to need to find a replacement for Ian Quering. He was a starter left tackle, so that job's up in the air. We've got guys back that have some experience. We have one back that suffered a knee injury there in the spring, so we're not going to have him. But Mike Ashland's back, and Keegan Bimes is back, and Keegan's a really, really good player, good athlete. So we've got some guys that we brought in, and we're going to be able to compete. So we'll see how that goes. Quarterback's obviously going to be up in the air, and we have a guy right now that is a leader in that particular position, Holden Keed, and we'll see where he goes in camp and see how he progresses. But we've got some other guys that can potentially be really good depth. We have, but again, the durability of the depth that we have is unproven. And we have one guy behind Holden that had last year who is coming off a shoulder injury, and then we have another one that got hurt in spring ball. So again, we're just trying to pick up the pieces and see what we've got. And, I'm not opposed to, experimenting and doing some different things on that with that position. Wide receiver wise, our wide receiver room is very good. I've been at this a number of years, and the way those guys work, the professionalism they have in practice, work ethic, the way they execute, the way they know the offense is awesome. But again, you got to be able to protect the QB, and you got to be able to get the ball to them. And so those kinds of things are going to be something that we're really going to stress. It's not that we're going to be trying to throw the ball 60 times a game or anything like that, but if that's our best option to move it, then we've got to figure out how to do, what exactly we're going to do with our new QB and our O-line. And Cam Collier's back, running back. He did a great job for us second half of the season. So, we've got our tight end from a year ago who played part-time, so looking forward to seeing how he's progressed and just kind of go from there. Real excited about it. I'm really excited about it though, because anytime you have newness like that, and you're at a place like, being in a position where we are, you're just able to try to be as creative as possible and put your guys in the best position to make plays.
All right, we're visiting now with Coach Mike Gardner from Tabor here on Midwest Sportsnet, and I encourage you, please take the time to like the video and subscribe to the channel. We enjoy talking about small college sports and more throughout the Midwest and beyond. Coach Gardner, the Bissell Coach of the Year in the Bissell Division in KCAC, and also Coach on your staff, CJ Hill, the Assistant Coach of the Year in the KCAC. I know he's back. And defense, there are, some players returning, including Dusty Daigle, who had 102 tackles for you last year to lead the team in tackles. Talk about maybe that secondary linebacker core. And I wanted to ask, how deep is your defensive line this year?
Our defensive line is deep. Now, our defensive line is not deep with experienced players, but our defensive line does have some depth to it. Depends on if we're going to go with a 3-man front or a 4-man front. And a few years ago, a number of years ago, we won conference. We actually went with a 5-man front. So, and they were defensive linemen. They weren't hybrid drop-off guys, linebacker. They were D linemen because we felt like that was our best position group we had on defense. So, but Coach Hill does a great job. He's on point with so many different things, just in terms of how that room is and what their attitude and what they bring to the game each and every week. I always feel like we're in it. Whenever those guys are out there, sometimes they give up a long drive, but that's kind of their MO. They don't break. I wish we could get off the field a lot sooner than we have been the last couple of years. But again, I can't fault those guys. They're on the field. They've been on the field quite a bit, probably more so than they've needed to be because of our struggles sometimes on offense. But now he does a great job. And, I got a guy in the secondary named Cam Pear, and he's really kind of an unsung hero that we have. Can play safety, nickel, and the thing that we do with our safeties is they're interchangeable. We can drop them down. We can do a lot of different things with them. You mentioned Brooks earlier. Brooks played 5 different positions last year. He played all 3 linebacker spots. He played nickel, and he played a hybrid rover guy that we used in 1 or 2 particular games in different situations. So, having somebody like that we can find if we can find another one of those guys, that's going to be a real blessing. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to step up. You mentioned Dusty. Dusty Daigle is the epitome of somebody that's worked himself into a great contributing football player. Coming out of Oklahoma, one thing that high school kids in Oklahoma really do a good job of is tackling. He always could tackle, and just like a lot of freshman linebackers, they struggle a little bit in the pass game, pass coverage. They're used to spot dropping and things like that. And sometimes that, is a little bit difficult when they're younger, but he's really turned himself into a good pass defender. And he's a really good blitzer too. That's the thing about it. He's learned how to disguise it. He's learned how to show and bail. And I can't say enough good things about him. And losing the corners that we had last year, we got some guys we've got to replace there. But I'm looking forward to seeing how how we as a coaching staff and Coach Hill is going to respond to the challenges that we have on that side of the ball. But we've got some pieces there, and I really like what we've got coming back.
Coach, another aspect of the game that's going to see some changes in 2025, again, out of necessity because of eligibility. Nate Heilig's used all of his, and what a fantastic player on special teams he was. 7 for 12 field goals, although one of those was a 56-yarder, and that was key in your 24-20 victory over St. Mary. 21 of 22 point afters. And Coach, I believe from last year, that'd be the first point after attempt missed in 3 years.
Yes.
Wow. What? Yeah. So obviously you have to fill that spot.
Yeah, obviously we have to fill that spot. We got a couple guys that we're going to be looking at. I really don't know exactly who's going to be that guy yet, but we're still trying to figure that out. And Broderick Smith's coming back as our punter. He did a great job. He did a great job for us last year. He averaged 40 yards a punt. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we aren't conventional in how we have our punt team set up. So we do a variety of things. So it gives him a chance to either two-step or rugby kick or, kind of do his thing. And we've got a couple of long snappers that we're going to have in camp. There's one kid that we recruited that is from the portal. We got him out of there, so we'll see how that works and just kind of go from there. But the thing that we haven't mentioned that I'd like to mention is we had the same holder for the Jaden Alexander was our holder, and that was critical. And our operation time on field goals was outstanding, and we had one kick blocked in 3 years. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that, our operation time is just awesome. The one kick we did have blocked, Nate hit it low, and he admitted he hit it low. And I think he got ahead of himself a little bit, and, that happens. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to the season. I'm looking forward to seeing the guys we have come in. I really like our freshman group that we've signed. It's one of the better freshman groups that we've had in the last few years in both talent, character, academics, all of it. They check a lot of boxes. And when you have good kids and you've got, guys that are willing to work together, good things can happen. So next year is definitely going to be a rebuilding year for us. But we'll see where we go, and just going to try to compete and prepare and do the best thing we can each and every week.
Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to mention the holder, because I think it's a really big deal and maybe an unsung hero. Awesome. And so often that is the case. The question that I would ask you, as I've asked all the coaches this summer to get to know you all a little bit better on a personal stand, is this: what is your favorite 80s song or 80s band?
Favorite 80s band is REM. And there's a lot of favorite bands from the 80s, man. And I love that question. Yeah, that was just a great era all the way around. Music, culture, everything.
So. Well, I agree with you entirely on that. Coach, let's talk about the last thing as we look ahead. August 30th, which is not too far from now. The season gets underway. You start at Sterling this year, and next year as the KCAC schedule has been revamped for a 2-year stretch. So at Sterling, then the next Saturday is your first home game. It'll be September 6th against Southwestern, a few more crossover games. And then divisional play starts after a bye week on October 18th as you get to host Bethel. So that's 2025. Tell us how that looks.
Well, let me just start by saying this conference has really evolved, and a lot of teams, a lot of schools have made a true commitment to football, and they've done a good job of that. Brad Griffin obviously won his first playoff game last year and got himself into the round of 16. I can't believe I'm saying that, because for years we had 16 a 16-team playoff format. Now we've got a 20, and expanding it is nothing but good. It allows more teams to get in, but it also creates an extra round there. And, the guys that get in it and have a home field advantage are generally the ones that do really well. But our openers against Sterling, they're always really tough at home. And let me just say this. I really like Reggie Langford. I think he's a class act, great guy, does a good job with them. Was one heck of a quarterback when I had the opportunity to coach against him and get to know him a little bit as an athlete, but getting to know him as a leader and a man and a coach, he's class act and represents this conference really well. So it's always going to be a challenge when we play those guys to get after them. They've got a really good culture. They're starting over there again, and just can't say enough good things about them.
All right, Coach, we will be following you this season as always. The Tabor Bluejays heading into 2025. Coach Gardner heading into season number 18 at the helm. Thank you very much, sir, for taking time with us today. We really appreciate that, and success to you all this season.
You bet. Thank you very much for having me. I really appreciate it.